When you get the best shooters in the court together, it's a great way to compare and contrast all the little details of their mechanics to see how each player is unique in their form, and more importantly, to show you the things they all do the same way. One thing that every shooter in the three-point contest does is turn their feet to some degree. Notice how their toes are biased towards their non-shooting side in order to allow their shooting hip and elbow to align properly with the rim. Joe Harris's left foot turns a lot, while his right foot is almost pointing to the rim, but notice a severe knee collapse towards his left side as his body naturally adjusts to overcome the foot angle. Danny Green does this as well, and his left knee collapses a bit in a classic case of knee valgus. Let's start with Khris Middleton, who finished last in the competition. What jumped out at me right away was the influence of his offhand, notably the thumb. It's a pretty violent move on the release, and make no mistake, just about every shooter here had some measure of influence from the offhand thumb, but his was more profound than the others. Also notice his wide base when he prepares to jump. Hardly any of the great shooters today are this wide, and after the jump, the feet do narrow slightly. Now let's look at his rhythm. Notice how he begins lifting the arms up at the same time his legs begin their bend down. This is one of the definitions of a two-motion shot, even though there isn't much of a pause at the set point. But when you synchronize the arms and legs like this, it dissipates a lot of the energy the legs are generating, forcing him to rely on his arms and that offhand thumb to generate power. Lastly, notice how he follows the ball with his eyes after release. Most great shooters do this, and there is no head tilt, just a look up with the eyes themselves. I'll explain later why I think this is important. Next up, Kemba Walker, who got his first start in the All-Star game. First off, notice how he turns his wrist early, before the ball is on the way up. This is different from many of the other shooters we see, and it reduces extra motion during the actual shot. Check how the set point is a bit low in the traditional sense, and he achieves this by bending the elbow past the classic 90 degrees, and that ball almost touches his eyebrow ridge before releasing. The most unique part of his jumper is that he doesn't straighten his legs when he jumps. He maintains a slight knee bend, which fascinates me and makes me wonder if this is why he's a bit inconsistent. And here's a great shot of just how much he turns his feet to achieve proper alignment. A good adjustment every shooter needs to make. It's just a question of individual biomechanics to determine how much that turn needs to be. Seth Curry's younger brother Seth has slowly made a name for himself in the NBA, making a run on the top three-point percentage and currently residing at number 3. Unlike his brother, Seth keeps his eyes on the rim through the whole shot, and it's weird how two guys from the same family differ in their shots so much. Notice how much offhand thumb influences the shot here, and it's not an issue. So many of the all-time great shooters were thumbers, and even though you might find 2 frames where the left thumb isn't touching the ball and the right hand is, make no mistake, the left thumb is imparting force on the shot. Also notice how his left arm just about straightens all the way. Seth has a wide base like Middleton, but he parachutes his feet together on the way down. This is an action a lot of good shooters do as well, allowing their feet to flow gently together on the way down. He does a good job to follow through and hold it, even though there's the pressure of the time limit, and his wrist doesn't so much as snap as flexes into a gooseneck pose. Another important thing to notice, late wrist extension. See how his wrist is in a neutral position until the ball is on its way up? This is part of the natural rhythm that all good shooters have. Also check out how his right elbow flares out away from his body until the ball is around eye level. This is the moment the wrist gets flexed and the elbow gets underneath the ball. I know I speak for everyone when I say there's no feeling like nailing a tough three-point shot from way downtown. Sometimes it can be just as difficult to hit that shot as it is to find qualified applicants to hire. Now it's as simple as a hop, dip, and turn when you use ZipRecruiter, since they send your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply. Right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive link. Trust me for all the shooting analysis. Trust ZipRecruiter for the smartest way to hire. Dirk Nowitzki has always been one of the better shooters in the league, but you might be shocked to discover that he only averaged 3.4 three-point attempts for his career. He got close to 5 attempts per game a few seasons, but that was over 15 years ago. Dirk follows the ball with his eyes, but it's a head tilt as well, which is a bit suboptimal. Arc is a big debate among coaches. Some say 45 degrees. Some people, like me, say it's a little higher than that. But there is no question that Dirk's arc is way too high. And while you might think the rim is a bigger target the higher the arc, it also gets exponentially harder to control the shot beyond 50 degrees. And I'd say this is at least 55 degrees, and he even shot an air ball due to lack of control. Dirk's rhythm is also suboptimal as he lifts his arm at the same time as the legs bend down. The ideal, as we'll see in a minute, is to begin bending the legs before the arms go up into the shot. As a result, he's got a two-motion shot, and as his body has worn down and his legs don't give him much bounce, it's hard to generate enough power to consistently knock down shots. Dirk is also unique with his offhand, as his index finger points up, perhaps as a way to avoid too much left thumb influence. This brings us to Damian Lillard, who is a prolific, if not horribly accurate, three-point shooter, primarily because half his threes are contested and off the dribble. Notice how his right elbow flares out a bit to start before getting under the ball once it gets to about chin level. He also brings the ball across his body, as you can see the ball on his left side before his elbow gets underneath the ball. Once the elbow gets there, the ball moves from the midline of his body, then up and out. Let's look at the rhythm. Dame completes his entire leg bend before the arms ever start moving upward into the shot. This ensures maximum energy transfer between the legs jumping and the arms releasing. Essentially ideal rhythm when shooting from very deep. And Dame follows the ball with his eyes on release. And I think that allows him to be more aware of hip and elbow alignment as well as elbow and wrist snap synchronization, since he's more in the moment by interrupting the focus of an object that's over 25 feet away to gaze at the ball much closer. Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and if you like this video, I've got something even better for you. I put together a free video on my 3 favorite actions that NBA teams run on offense. I know you'll love it, and all you have to do is click on the link below. Don't forget to subscribe to BBallBreakdown and adjust your settings so you'll get notified right away. You in?